Long show. Oh. No, very long show. All right, Lisa, did you want to tag team Will?
Sure.
You don't have to.
No, you have to.
All right, why don't you? So here's what we're gonna do, internet. You kind of, you did. You met. Is my hair beautiful? Am I beautiful?
Your hair's still. Your hair's is nice.
Is it? Yeah, so I should have faux hawked my hair.
A little.
Right. That way we would have had someone with aerodynamics on the show.
Yeah, but we've really been lacking in aerodynamics of late.
Before we start the After Dark episode, what Dutta is hinting at, we need an open.
And we do.
Yep. All right. Mike, you're obviously going to say Blue Origin something.
Launches and lands a rocket.
Oh my God, Blue Origin! Should we put the graphic back up for Mike?
No, we should save that for the end of the show.
You sure?
Yeah, that was too good. That was a good reveal at the end of the show.
All right. No, I meant the other one. All right,
Yes.
Hey everybody! Blue Origin launched. It was great. They launched they landed the rocket successfully. It was great.
No, put Mike back up. Put Mike back up. God. All right. Blue Origin, I'll say launches, and you, which one do you want?
Which one would you like me to talk about?
Actually, you don't say anything. You say...
Well, yeah, because he's...
Yeah.
Right.
I'll just sit here.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll just leave.
You'll say fire suppression.
Fire suppression?
Yep, and you'll say, and we have an I interview...
And I interview William Pomerantz.
Sir.
Sir.
Admiral.
Captain. Oh, Captain.
DJ.
Yeah.
Captain, my captain. You interview William Pomerantz, and then, yeah, we'll go from there. All right. So, Mike, me, Carrie Ann, you, me. Unless you want to take us in.
No, you can take us in.
All right.
Right, dude.
All right, here's number one.
Okay.
Oh, Mike, you have to, you want me to do the coming up? I'll do the coming up.
Yeah.
Here we go. Coming up.
Blue Origin successfully launches and lands a suborbital rocket.
A series of additional launches.
Fire suppression.
I interview William Pomerantz.
And you need to be like, and I, because I have to end on you. All I'm going to say is tomorrow begins right now. Okay. You'd be like, and I interview William Pomerantz of Virgin Galactic.
Okay.
Otherwise, right? That makes sense, right?
Use my words.
And then I'll stay tuned tomorrow begin. All right, cool. This is number two.
What?
Oh. There you go. All right, here we go. Two. Coming up.
Blue Origin successfully launches and lands a suborbital rocket.
A series of other launches.
Fire suppression.
And I interview William Pomerantz of Virgin Galactic.
All that and more. Stay tuned. Tomorrow begins right now. That was dramatic. That was right now.
Oh yeah.
Right now. Right now.
Did we get that? Did we like number two? Was that too much? Internet, we like two. We're good. Director, you're cool with two? All right. You and I will leave the set, and then...
oh my gosh. Johnny boy.
Yeah.
Space Mike is so yellow. He looks like the golden space Buddha. Thanks, Johnny boy. Hello, Lisa.
Stoge is here.
All right, so I gave you
I
the
have
chat room. Guessing you need this.
So tell Lisa I have that very cat space shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Says that he has the exact same cat space shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's that. You need an earpiece, though. Do we have another one? Is yours up there?
What's up?
Oh, the eerie thing? Yeah.
Yeah, so she can hear things.
Oh, do you have one or? Did you get it?
The eerie thing.
The ears. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Well, that was fun.
That was. Great job on the interview. That was very good.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun. Always good times.
Is Mike still here?
Yes, Mike is still here.
All right, I don't have my mic on, so I would like bring him back, like for real. Hey, all right. let me speak into Jared's chest. Hey, Mike, I'd like to have the 3 correspondents kind of talk to Will, if that's all right.
Sure.
You up for that?
Yeah.
It's going to be a casual conversation about whatever you guys want.
Cool.
Cool.
Thank you, Will, for being willing to subject yourself to us.
It's gonna be good times.
So here's the deal. Will doesn't have an earpiece, so when Mike asks a question, someone needs to repeat it.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, wait. Do we have another? That works.
Somebody asked
We
if
can
I have
just
other
end up
video
speaking
interviews, and I
Russian.
don't. I guess the only other video interview I have on the internet is when I was on TMRO as a guest earlier this year. So, good times. Good times.
Have you ever heard of moonandback.com?
Me? No, I've not. No, I haven't heard of it.
They were a website that I worked for several years ago, and we would go
Okay.
around to different space conferences and got to interview a lot of different people, and it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of pressure, but maybe not as much pressure because it wasn't live. So, but it was so much fun. I met so many cool people and talked about so many cool ideas that people are doing. So anyway,
Where did oh, I actually do TV production for the city of Lakewood, and I sometimes interview people for
Beats
that.
by Dre.
So, I mean, I was a
That's
theater
cool.
major before I became a space engineer. So
No. Oh, for
it was a little bit of a
super
jump from
cool.
theater to engineering. So, you know,
yeah.
slight bit. What did you ever make it to a Space Up LA Space Mike or?
No, in fact, the first and only Space Up I've been to so far was the one here in Phoenix.
Oh,
But
I
I
can't
have
hear
been
Mike.
to several
Why can't I
of
hear
the
Mike?
new space
Oh, no, I
conferences
can hear
that
Mike.
took place in California.
That
So
shit, your volume's right. Hang on, let me turn this all the way down.
You guys have this fancy going up the back of the shirt thing.
Yeah, we've learned.
Ooh.
All right,
Styling and profiling. What if I just sit on it and
That's
I do
fine,
that
but you'll
like
need to be
this?
able to get to your volume control because I turned it all the way down so you don't hurt your ear when you put it in.
Oh.
Yeah, shout out to Serenity, by the way.
Are these not
Because-
symmetrical?
Oh, they're not?
I was just asking if they're
I don't
symmetrical or
know.
not.
Shout out
Is
to
there a left and a
Serenity,
right?
who ran into me at my day job at Griffith Observatory, which was pretty awesome. So,
Shout out to Walt Disney. Happy birthday today.
Oh, there.
happy birthday, Walt.
very cool, very cool.
You may not want
Test,
to
test.
close your earbuds so you can actually hear them too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, actually, then you should be able to.
You should
I
we
got-
should
yeah.
come through.
I think I
Right.
can hear Mike now.
So
Can you? Yeah, you can hear me okay now, Will?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh wait, hold on here. I'm gonna do that in the back, like you guys look so
Go
fancy
for
and
it.
professional.
Yeah. That way no one can tell.
Oh, you know, the best part is this one has a clip too,
Oh my goodness.
so you won't have
Oh.
to feel like you're. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Ben's got his official headphones on.
So it won't pull on this, and it won't pull on this either. It'll just stay at the back of your.
we're all learning today.
Is that
Good
right?
times.
Will
Wow.
be. Just a second.
Ben is official.
Okay.
Right
I think
now. Hey Ben.
Hey.
What's
So
up, Ben?
fancy. Okay, now where do I look? Everywhere. Whoever's speaking to me.
You should like always look aimlessly somewhere, like completely
Straight into the lights.
wherever.
There
it
are
feels-
4 lights. Have to be
Oh man, that's awesome.
After dark. We have been.
So I have a
We're on all
question,
of
Will.
ours.
Yeah, we're
It's
just
not my
on.
first rodeo.
We're running. So, all right. I guess where should we begin? So I guess congrats again on becoming a father.
Thank you.
That's
Maybe
pretty awesome.
Owen will make a cameo appearance.
Yeah,
later in the
potentially. We might have a.
That might be a bit distracting though.
flying baby just in the background, just nobody.
Yeah.
You attach it to the wing of a 747
Oh, yeah.
model and kind of show it off real quick.
I
So-
could
Well, that was a
totally,
fantastic interview that you guys did, and but what I wanted to know more about from Will is actually how did you get to where you are today?
A fun and twisty, turny, crazy route. So I started out my academic career studying Earth and Planetary Sciences,
Nice.
which was a fun career to work in. I worked in it not for very long, but I was getting paid to look at pretty pictures of Mars, which is a pretty nice gig if you can find a way to do that. But even though it was one of those things that was very cool kind of in the day-to-day, I ultimately found it not satisfying enough because I found it it didn't suit my personality well that in a field like planetary science, you know, you're very fortunate if you get a new data set like once a decade.
Yeah.
It sort of depends on your planet. Mars, you get data more often than that, but a lot of planets, you know, if you pick Pluto, you get one data set in your lifetime, and you always know from the beginning that you're like one bad day away from not getting any data whatsoever, and that was just super frustrating for me. And because I was sort of frustrated or worried about that, I didn't apply myself as much as I should have to it, so I wasn't as good as I wanted to be at it. So eventually, I decided I should leave that field, and instead of being one of the guys and gals, you know, analyzing the data or helping pick which data to get, I should try and make sure that everybody gets more data by increasing space access. So I ended up going back to school. I went to this place called the International Space University.
I have heard of that.
It was a great experience for me. I did the full year, the master's program there. The analogy I've always used is it was like eating at a buffet to figure out what kind of food you really like. You know, it's not that that they are the best engineering program in the world, but they're the only place where you can get an engineering program and a science program and a business program and a management program and every other kind of thing, and figure out which one is best suited to you. So I actually thought that I would do that and then go get another degree because I would have picked what I really wanted to be when I grow up. Turned out I discovered I really like the buffet line. I like kind of doing something different every day or at least every month. So I've tried to find a job where I could do that. Kind of scratched that itch doing consulting for a little while because by picking my projects, I could have a more management focused project and then a more software focused project and then a more whatever else. But hadn't done that too long before I got a chance to go and work for the X Prize Foundation, which was really cool. I came in as full-time staff shortly after the original Ansari X Prize had been won. And I discovered quickly that when you work for an organization that is famous for only one thing, and that thing is giving away money, you can talk to anyone in the world. Anyone will take your phone call. And so I had this great opportunity to talk to a lot of the people that I viewed as thought leaders or business leaders in our entire industry and ask them, hey, where are the roadblocks? Like, where is something not as good as it should be? And it's not because we haven't found a new law of physics yet or found unobtainium yet. It's just because we don't have the right people thinking about it. Or we don't have the right people with the right resources thinking about it, because that's where a prize can help. So did that. I was at X Prize for almost 6 years. I got to write and run 2 different prizes, one to completion and one for the first sort of third or so of its schedule. And that definitely was a buffet line kind of a job where I was, I wasn't an engineer, but I have to know enough engineering to basically write an engineering technical requirements document. I wasn't a lawyer, but I had to write a contract. I wasn't a marketer, but I had to do a little bit of marketing to recruit teams and sponsors and all that kind of stuff. And through that job and other sort of things I was doing on the side, I'd gotten to know this guy, George Whitesides, really well back when he was the head of an organization called the National Space Society, which is this big grassroots space advocacy organization. He then went on to be chief of staff at NASA and then eventually became CEO at Virgin Galactic. When he came in, he was looking for a buffet line kind of a guy, a jack of all trades. So he gave me a call and he said, "Are you job hunting?" And I said, "I wasn't, but now I am." Hold on a second, let me update my resume for the first time in a couple of years, and joined Galactic. Almost 5 years ago now. It's getting close to 5 years now, which is, I don't know where the time goes, but and still in that role, I get to, as my title implies, I get to keep doing a lot of fun things, a lot of different things. A different thing, maybe not every day, but definitely every month or every quarter.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Nice journey.
So, there he
There's
is.
the
Our
baby.
special guest in the background.
Yes. Go ahead,
So I have to
Chase.
ask, are there any other special projects that you guys are currently working on that you can at least talk about or speculate on?
Launcher One has been taking up the most of my time. Well, having a baby has been taking up a lot of my time recently, but at work, Launcher One certainly has been taking up the largest part of my time. I do also do a reasonable amount of work on Spaceship Two, particularly focused on our program to fly science and engineering payloads on Spaceship Two. So I know most people think of us as a space tourism company, and that's certainly a really important part of what we do and something we're excited about and proud of. But definitely coming from my background, I'm excited about how do I help professional scientists or student scientists, student engineers get things into space, because like I said, that was a key part of my own journey. And I wonder how many other people maybe were in a situation like I was, where they got frustrated and they left. And at a macro, at an industry level, I worry about that problem a lot, about talented people who start out in our field and check out after a couple of years because they're not getting to get their hands dirty and get the data, and so I may as well go get a paycheck and go work for Facebook or Google.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to get more of those people get their hands dirty. Certainly in their first couple of years in the workforce. Ideally, when they're in college, maybe even in high school or something like that. So we've created this program to fly research payloads on Spaceship Two. Over the course of about an hour, we can change the configuration of the vehicle in a way where we basically pull the seats out of the back and we put in a rack system where you can go in and you can mount an experiment, whether you've custom designed it for our vehicle or mostly it's people who have already built an experiment that they plan to fly to the International Space Station or on a CubeSat, or maybe that they've already flown on a parabolic aircraft or a drone or a high-altitude balloon, a sounding rocket. Hopefully with pretty minimal modifications, they can kind of plug and play that into our vehicle, get it up to space altitudes, get it several minutes of really high-quality microgravity. So that's another program that takes up a fair amount of my time. I do get to think a little bit about what will come next and be part of the team that brainstorms some of the stuff, Jared, that you and I were talking about, what Spaceship 3 and Spaceship 10 might look like someday. But we try to, we've got enough work to do on the programs we're already committed to right now, so try and keep most of our time really focused pretty tightly on those.
Yeah. I want to ask about the educational side of things, because you're a pretty big advocate of STEM education. And what are some of the things that you have done, and what are some of the challenges that you find in advocacy for STEM education?
I think we in the space industry in particular, and I define that as broadly as possible, whether you're an astronaut or a pilot or an engineer or a host of a space-themed TV show, I think you're part of the industry. And I think we all have this great opportunity and kind of this great responsibility to really sell the STEM message, because space is inherently sexy. Everybody loves space from the time they're capable of speech. It's not something you have to learn. And there are a lot of other really cool sciences that are sexy, but you have to have taken 5 or 6 years of science before you can even understand what they mean. If you can't talk too much about CRISPR and some of the cool genome sequencing technologies or whatever else until you have taken probably at least middle school biology. It's really hard to convey that in a way. That's not true of space. You can show, the videos you guys show at the top of the show, you can show beautiful pictures coming back from Rosetta or something like that, and I get it. I get it without having had to take a physics class. So it gives us this chance to get in at a very, very young age and be kind of the gateway drug that maybe gets that young girl, that young boy to pay attention in their science class. I think I think space actually does that pretty well. I think NASA does a fantastic job, particularly with social media. They do, with whether it's NASA socials or the Instagram account or whatever else. I think NASA is really on top of it to their great credit. The rest of the industry kind of following their lead, as we often do, and I think is pretty good about it. Another area where there are some encouraging things, but where I think we as an industry need to do better, is making people understand that people of all different backgrounds not only are welcome in the space industry, but are desperately needed in the space industry. I give a lot of talks to the public. Many of my talks are space industry talks, but I also get a chance to go out and speak at universities or sort of community organizations, Rotary Club or whatever it is. And generally, I find everyone's excited about it, but then unless I'm really careful and diligent about spreading that message, they leave saying, well, it doesn't really apply to me, but that sure is interesting that someone else is doing it. And that used to be the case. It used to be if you didn't go to one of 10 or 20 schools and major in one of 3 or 4 things and take one of 2 or 3 career paths, there wasn't a whole lot you could do other than pay your taxes.
Yeah.
That has changed a lot now, where there are starting to be tons of ways you can contribute, whether it's spreading the word and doing the great things you're doing, or even kicking in money on a Patreon campaign or something to allow a show like this to exist, or it is building a CubeSat or contributing to a Kickstarter campaign or starting a SEDS chapter. Or, there's lots of other things, and your major doesn't have to end in something engineering for you to be able to. It's great if it does. We need those people as well. But so I really have been trying a lot lately to spread this message that, regardless of how old you are, what school you went to, what your educational background is, if you watch this show or you hear me speak or you watch a Blue Origin video and you get inspired, you can be contributing to the space industry within an hour from the comfort of your own home without spending any money. I end up promoting a lot this website actually from another SpacePod creator, Ariel Waldman. She created this website called spacehack.org, and it's 30 different projects that you can contribute to. whether you're a marketing major or a manufacturing engineer or anything else. And that sort of blows people's minds when they realize, oh, I thought as an art director there was nothing for me to do in space. Oh, there is. We need more art directors. We need more everything.
What do you think about the like middle school and high school and even college age range of kids that, because as someone who definitely was, let's just say, a victim of the NASA propaganda in elementary school, I had that fire and then lost it going from middle school on. And do you think that there's anything better that NASA or the industry as a whole can be doing to keep the fire going at those different age levels and different age groups?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a really important question, and I think there is a good answer to it. It's let you do something other than just watch. Watching gets you excited in the first place, but if you're told, no, you have to keep watching for the next 15 years before I let you touch anything, people lose interest, because no other industry is like that, right? You see now middle school students who are coding apps and releasing them on the iTunes store and making money off them, or at least getting experience and be able to show their friends. A lot of other industries have found that immediate way for you to get your hands dirty, but also to make a contribution, right? You can be a middle school student and actually make a cool app that people want, that helps make the world a better place or helps entertain people or whatever else. Space has always been you got to pay your dues, you got to wait in line kind of an industry, and I know tons of people in my age cohort who went to the best schools, who applied themselves, who followed the classical trajectory as well as they possibly could. They got a 4.0 from MIT, and they did the summer internships at NASA, and they didn't get to have a real, what they personally felt to be a meaningful role on a mission until they were 30 or something. And again, when you can go and you can found Facebook when you're 21 years old or something, it's just, why wait until I'm 30? Let me try. Now, obviously, it's easy to oversimplify that. I'm not saying we should put 21-year-olds in charge of critical national security missions or something like that, because young people, or more broadly, new people make mistakes, make rookie mistakes. But I think actually that's something exciting about things like small sats or about suborbital science or about Kickstarter campaigns. The consequences of failure are totally different, right? You don't have to be worried about, oh my God, we just lost $1 billion and left a critical hole in our nation's national security or something like that. You can do a mission where the cost of failure is okay, I have to sit down and write a pretty difficult email to my Kickstarter backers. And then I got to sort of mope around for a day or two. But then I got to think about the lessons I learned and go on it and move on tomorrow. And that's, I think that's a very, very different situation for people to be in. And my hope is that it won't keep everyone, but my hope is that it will keep a lot of those young people like you, Mike, who got excited at a young age, but are sort of looking around saying, what do I do other than go see The Martian?
Yeah.
So it sounds like the hands-on stuff is really what kind of keeps kids, teenagers interested in space and science. We actually have a question from the chat room from Dada that you've been a long-time proponent of SEDS, Students for the Exploration and Development of Space. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So I'm a proud SEDS alum and have remained involved essentially ever since graduating. SEDS, the Students for the Exploration and Development of Space, is the world's largest student-run space organization. I think as of today, there's something like 53 chapters in the United States at different universities, as well as organizations increasingly abroad in the UK, Germany, India, and Canada, and starting to expand to some other places around the globe. It's an interesting organization in that, like a lot of student-run organizations, it's quite different from chapter to chapter and quite different from year to year. There are some schools that have a SEDS chapter and don't have an engineering school. So all the members of the SEDS chapter are, political science majors and business majors. And as you can imagine, the type of activities that they enjoy doing are usually a little different than the school that is very much a tech school or even a vocational school where they're all about building the CubeSats or building the hybrid rocket or whatever it is. What I really enjoy lately about SEDS is that increasingly those chapters are coming together, whether they're going to the Space Vision conference every year and meeting each other in real space, or they're using great online tools to have a chance to collaborate and sort of saying, hey, okay, maybe it's even at the level of okay, my school's really good at mechanical engineering, but our electrical engineering program isn't that great, and you're vice versa. Hey, is there something we can do together, right? I'll build the structure, you write the software, and blah, blah, blah.
Nice collaboration between each other.
Collaboration thing. And when people have a chance to learn that when they're 18 years old, that makes them so much better employees when they're 25 years old. Because you have to learn that collaboration thing, and they don't teach that in the classroom.
Yeah.
Right? At least when I went to school in science, hardly any of my projects were group projects. They were
Oh,
all
yeah.
individual assignments. And even among the ones that were group projects, I was dealing with other people from the same discipline as me.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't working with an astronomer, much less an aerospace engineer, much less a lawyer, right? And so I just never learned how to do that. And it wasn't until I got out into industry and was sort of beating my head against a wall saying, why can't I communicate with this person? Is he or she dumb? It's like, no, we're just speaking a different language. So when you can learn that at a young age, I think that's really quite exciting. For anyone out there, if you are a student right now, or if you have family members who are a student, or you're a faculty member, if there isn't a SEDS chapter at your school, start one. I would say the career paths of students involved in space is pretty good, or in SEDS rather, is pretty good. The career paths of students who start a SEDS chapter is like awesome. It's a straight vertical line. Those young men and women really do spectacular things. So view that as an opportunity, not as a threat if there's not a chapter at your school. I think starting up a chapter takes about 5 minutes with an online forum, and I think you do have to pay like $25 or $50, something like that. It's not a lot of money. If that's a roadblock for you, like contact me and I'll fund it for you. Or there's lots of other people who will do it. It's not that hard to find someone who's willing to write a $50 check. And I think you'll instantly kind of tap into this great network of like-minded students who want to talk about the same things and watch the same programs and go out there and do real projects of various different kinds.
Very cool. Yeah, now I'm going to go home and look it up too. As
Good.
an engineering major, I should probably get on that as fast as possible. So.
Is SEDS worldwide, or is it just US based?
It started in the U.S. and quickly expanded to Canada. I don't know if there are chapters in, say, Australia yet.
I better start one.
It could be. You absolutely
There you
please
go.
do start one. I know there is a big presence in the UK, a big presence in India, and I think a pretty big presence in Canada. And there are other chapters sort of scattered around the world, but those are sort of the hotbeds. It would make a lot of sense for there to be a chapter or several chapters, ideally in Australia.
Yeah.
And I'd also say that the next Space Vision conference, SEDS USA runs an annual conference called Space Vision. It is, bar none, my favorite conference of the year, both because it's fun for me as a professional to hang around the students because they're enthusiastic and they ask fun questions, but also it's such a self-selecting group of the professionals who attend that, because as you all may have noticed, there are a lot of space conferences, and eventually they all look exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's the same people giving the same presentation to the same audience. And Space Vision isn't like that. Because the audience is students, there's no point in me going and giving a business development presentation where I'm trying to get you to buy a $100 million rocket program from me, because they're students, right? So the people who that's the only presentation they know how to give, they don't bother going. The people who go to that conference are the people who genuinely care about like the future of the industry, in the sense that they care genuinely about the 20-year-olds who are going to be leading this industry in a couple of years. They're all there essentially taking vacation time to come there, so they're super invested in it, which means the quality of the talks that they give is better, but it really means that the interactions you can have sort of informally in the hallway, you can absolutely find a mentor, you can actually absolutely find a job, you can absolutely find your PhD advisor. Those are the kinds of people who are there. So the next Space Vision conference is, they're always hosted by one of the chapters. The chapters actually compete pretty vigorously to host them. The next year's one will be hosted by Purdue University. I think it's the first weekend in November this coming year. If not, it's somewhere right around there. Highly encourage people to get from wherever they are in the world to that conference. I can guarantee you'll have a good time.
Great.
Awesome. Very good plug.
Yeah, very good.
No, yeah. All the times that I've come across any of the SEDS membership, it's always been a really great experience. And so just some of those kind of informal discussions that you're talking about in the hallways, I think that a lot of the Kickstarter ideas and different companies that we have kind of been seeing from a lot of this younger generation in the past couple of years have started there in that type of hallway informal conversation. And it definitely stimulates the mind, for sure.
Absolutely. I've noticed this interesting trend over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, and I don't know what is the cause of it, but the students today seem to be so much more entrepreneurial than the students certainly 10 years ago, probably even 5 years ago. They are all so much more interested in either starting their own thing or going to work for a very small company. It used to be at the Space Vision conference, the vast majority of people wanted to go work for NASA or for one of the big prime contractor companies, and there was like this small fringe group that was interested in going to work for Maston or Escape Dynamics or something like that. And now I think the pendulum has swung almost all the way in the other direction. In fact, I heard multiple times the question from the students at this past year's Space Division, is NASA even needed anymore? Which I think is an interesting question for a 20-year-old to be asking. And I think the answer is yes, by the way, but I think it's an interesting sort of social phenomenon that people are asking that question. So Mike, I couldn't agree more. I think a lot of the students are coming to that conference. Either they're coming already with an idea and they're trying to find collaborators, or just they're having a conversation over an adult beverage, assuming they're 21 years old, of course, and the ideas are sort of spontaneously being generated at this conference, and they're finding that they have the tools and they have the network to actually like follow up on an idea and look at converting it into reality of some kind.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I got a good, an engineering question here from Johnny Boy in our chat room is, do you make mandatory the deorbiting capability of payloads? So I guess responsibility on orbit to make sure that like a little satellite doesn't hit something and cascade into Kessler syndrome.
Yeah, it's a very, very important problem, and it's something that we take very seriously. In a way, we are starting the race, as it were, from a good position in that sense, just because we generally won't be flying satellites to a very high altitude. We'll be flying them to a relatively lower altitude where for the most part, they would, without any other foresight or thought, they would come down within the sort of mandatory time periods that are required for that. So that gets us as a nice starting place, but there is certainly more that we could do from there. Thankfully, the customers, at least certainly the customers of ours that I'm most familiar with, are all super committed to this. You know, a lot of them have studied this professionally in their careers before going and starting their own small satellite startup. The rest of them realize whether it's a genuine sense of moral responsibility or it's just a sense of, hey, this is good business, or usually it's the combination of the two, that they absolutely need to look into that. So as far as I'm aware, every customer we've talked to has already begun the conversations with all the appropriate regulatory bodies and has begun thinking about it in terms of that as a kind of a key part of their mission planning.
Yeah, good to hear.
So Will, I heard you also have some experience with zero-G flights.
I do.
And didn't you hold the title of weightless flight instructor?
I was a coach, a weightless flight coach. Yes, exactly.
That's a job title that
it was a pretty good title. Yeah. So there is a company called Zero-G, Zero Gravity Corporation, that was founded by Peter Diamandis, who is my former boss. He's the guy who founded X Prize Foundation. He founded International Space University. He founded CEDS, a lot of these other organizations. I spent a very long time working for him and begging him for a chance to go and get a chance to fly on this parabolic aircraft, something I'd always wanted to do. I had, earlier in my career, designed experiments that I'd wanted to fly on this, and finally was lucky enough to get a chance to fly. So I've flown, 10 or so times, and it's pretty darn amazing. I recommend it if you're able to either afford buying a ticket or design an experiment and get selected for flight. I couldn't recommend it more.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right, I think we've got time for 2 more questions. So how about you guys? You guys got any? Space Mike? Lisa or our chat room? Yes, as well. You guys can get in on it.
Kind of another kind of nerdy engineering question. Do you guys have any more planned uses for the Newton 1 engine?
So the Newton 1 engine was sort of the development engine on our way to the Newton 4. Our numbering sequence is really weird. We should probably change that at some point. But it was the Newton 3 and Newton 4, which are the flight engines that we'll use on Launcher 1, are both turbopump-fed engines. So instead of rushing straight to a turbopump fed, we said, okay, let's get a pressure fed engine on the stand as quickly as we can, because we're going to learn a lot from that, both in terms of the engine performance, but also manufacturing techniques and frankly just building a test stand and all those kinds of things. So the Newton 1 we built a couple of years ago. We fired it, full mission duty cycles lots of times. I don't even know how much time we ran on that engine, but it was quite a lot. And it is essentially retired now. It sort of served its purpose, but it was the kernel, in the sort of software sense, it was the kernel of the Newton 4 engine, much like the Newton 2 engine, which we also fired and retired, was the kernel for the Newton 3.
Nice.
Very cool. Interesting. Thank you. Jared, Lisa,
I don't have any.
chat room?
Yeah, I'm looking in the chat room real quick.
I think we'll wrap.
Scroll through.
If we're at the point where we don't know anymore,
Okay.
then we're done.
We can wrap if we would like to. So, all right. Well,
No, you said
thank you.
too.
Thank you for coming to the After Dark. So
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
glad to have you here.
Cool.
We need more awkward exits. So.
More awkward exits. Okay.
Can I plug my?
Oh yeah, I
thing?
totally forgot to have you do that. So for those who don't Wait, hang on. I need to use the microphone. No, you're fine. You're okay. All right. So for those who don't know, the TMRO policy, it is if you're a patron subscriber and you see a really cool space-based thing on Kickstarter, GoFundMe, other Patreon thing, and you're like, ooh, I really want to fund that, but I put all my money into TMRO. What you do is you go fund it anyhow, using the money you would have normally put into TMRO, and then don't put it into TMRO. Email me, benjamin@tmro.tv, and say, hey, I just put all my money over here, and we'll just leave you in. You get all the rewards you normally get from us. We won't take your rewards away. You'll still get the TMRO stuff, and you funded this other cool thing. So, having said that, Lisa.
Hello, Internet. So, I got a scholarship to International Space University's summer program in Australia, which is in January of next year, and I have 10 days to raise the rest of my funds so that I can go. So I have a GoFundMe campaign, of which I didn't memorize the link for that I could plug right now, but I'm sure we'll put that in the description of the video or something. So what I'm going to do is, if you donate to my GoFundMe campaign, I am going to make videos about what I learned. So if I learn about orbital mechanics, you're going to learn about orbital mechanics. If I learn about the Outer Space Treaty from 1967, I'm going to talk about that and you're going to learn about it too. So any donation at all would help me to be able to go to this, and
How far away are you?
Oh, I'm up to $1,500 so far out of $6,800. 10 days.
10 days.
10 days.
We can do it.
We can. We will.
Good luck.
So,
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
all right.
All right, give me another awkward ending.
Okay.
With that, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the future.
Give me an awkward ending.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Well, give me an awkward ending.
Thanks for watching. What's this show called again? Space Vidcast. No, tomorrow. Is that awkward enough?
It's like NASA Edge or something. Just the wrong. Yeah, that's good. All right.
All
thanks,
right.
everyone.
Thank you, guys. All right.
Ask for awkward, I will deliver.